This video features 23 classic automobiles built between 1910 and 1915. Most images were captured at the Henry Ford Museum of American Innovations in Dearborn, Michigan, and at the Crawford Auto Aviation Museum in Cleveland, Ohio. This is the third entry in the series, so if you want to see more, please subscribe and click the like button. Enjoy the video. Buick's 1910 Model 10 competed with Ford's Model T. Priced at around $1,000, it compared favorably to the $900 starting price of a Model T. Buick built 27,377 cars for 1910, second only to Ford's production of 34,070. The 1910 Cadillac Model 30 was arguably the perfected four-cylinder Cadillac, raising the quality standards to new heights and the base price to $1,600, an increase of $200 from the previous year. The 1910 Duryea Electra Phaeton was marketed as having the elegance, comfort, cleanliness, noiselessness, and simplicity of the electric, with the reliability, long range, low weight, low cost, and ever-readiness of the gasoline car. While many auto manufacturers adopted smaller wheels wrapped in pneumatic rubber tires, Duryea stuck with the high wheel for simplicity and reliability. This was the first car to enter the collection that would become the Thompson Auto Album and later the Crawford Auto Aviation Museum. The Simplex Model 90 was the pinnacle of motoring enjoyment, combining styling, luxury, power, and speed. It had a 90-horsepower engine and a top speed of about 100 miles per hour. This car features Holbrook coach-built bodywork with lightweight cloth fender spats and a whole lot of brass. The 7-passenger Stevens Duryea Model Y touring car had a factory price of $4,000, with 1,500 produced until 1912. In November 1910, this lightweight 1911 Hupmobile Model D and a trio of company employees set out to prove just how tough the car could be. They took this car more than 47,000 miles on an around-the-world jaunt. Despite the team's efforts, Hupp was never a very successful brand. In the 1910s, the Packard Motor Company produced some of the most coveted automobiles then available. The 1911 Packard Model 30 was the best of the best, offering luxurious accommodations for 5 passengers. Thompson Products purchased this car in 1945 for $250, and after a complete restoration, the car became one of the founding members of the Crawford's collection. When new, a 1912 Hupmobile Model 20 like this one would have made a brisk driving road car, much akin to the Ford Model T, though a Hupp runabout was $160 more than the Ford. During the 1910s, Pierce Arrow was arguably the finest motor car available, and it was built to a standard of quality that has rarely been surpassed. This Model 36 was the smallest of Pierce Arrow's trio of 6-cylinder powered offerings for 1912. The car was the epitome of class and sophistication, using only the highest quality components such as a cast aluminum body. At 7 feet 7 inches tall, this 1912 Rambler Knickerbocker limousine was designed to make a grand entrance. Even the chauffeur's compartment was done up in leather and mahogany. The owners gazed at the world through French plate glass windows or shut out prying eyes with silk curtains. The alcove was both technically very well built and very good looking, and each car took 19 months to complete. The combination of fine engineering and beautiful coachwork made the Alco the most expensive car built in America, and the 1913 Model 6 Bearline limousine was the most expensive Alco model. The passenger compartment has 5 feet of headroom, interior lighting, and roll-up side windows, quite an advanced feature in 1913. The 1913 Austro-Daimler Prince Heinrich, shown here without a body, is often considered to be one of the contenders for the title of the world's first sports car. It was designed by Ferdinand Porsche and modeled after the car that took the top 3 positions in the 1910 Prince Heinrich trial. Unlike purpose-built racing cars, the Prince Heinrich trial only allowed 4-seater production-based entries. Most electrics made during the 1910s were larger enclosed carriage-like automobiles, as electrics were meant to be an in-town vehicle. The 1913 Baker Model WB Roadster was unusually sporty for an electric automobile. Although dynamic, it still retained the Teller steering system, which was closely associated with the more sedate styles of electric vehicles. In 1912, a new European fad took America by storm: the cycle car, slim, light, cheap, with a motorcycle engine. By 1914, Americans could choose from over 80 homegrown versions, but most were poorly built and rattled to pieces on America's rough, unpaved roads. By 1917, a durable 5-passenger Ford Model T cost $25 less than this 1913 Scripps-Booth rocket cycle car, ending the fad. Clara Ford, Henry Ford's wife, drove this 1914 Detroit Electric Model 47. In the years before World War I, many women chose electric cars because they started instantly without hand cranking and had no difficult-to-shift transmission. The superintendent of the Detroit Electric Factory employed his daughter to sell to women, including Clara Ford, who drove this car into the 1930s. Ford Model Ts weren't fully produced on moving assembly lines until 1914. As production speed increased, the company soon decided to paint all Model Ts black, like this one. Contrary to popular belief, it wasn't because black paint dried fastest. It was faster to use just one color, and black was the least expensive and most durable. Peerless was Cleveland's answer to some of the greatest automobiles in the world. The 1914 Model 60 6-cylinder Peerless was a monstrous automobile that carried an astronomical price tag. As a result, only 58 examples of the Model 66 were built, and this is the only known surviving example of the run. The 1914 Stutz Bearcat was perhaps the earliest American sports car and became a status symbol for the wealthy. These were fast and fun machines that were built to a high standard of quality. Bearcats built for the street differed from the factory racing White Squadron only by having fenders, lights, a trunk, and slightly higher gear ratios. Wood's Motor Vehicle Company built the 1914 Mobilette to capture new customers. Sales of the company's electric cars were falling as more people chose gasoline-burning cars. The dual power supposedly combined the best of both, but customers disagreed, and the car and the company disappeared in 1918. Wealthy Americans were familiar with the Brewster name because the company had been building elegant horse-drawn carriages for over 100 years. When Brewster finally began building automobiles in 1915, they looked like carriages. Chauffeurs dealt with the 20th century auto technology, a quiet 55-horsepower engine, an electric starter, and electric lights, while owners rode in 19th century carriage comfort. Designed to appeal to adventurous drivers, the 1915 Chevrolet Royal Mail Roadster was styled to look like a race car with a long hood, a short rear deck, and a fuel tank behind the seats. Add the stylish fenders and a hood that flowed smoothly into the body, and you had a rakish little car that looked more expensive than it was. The owner added a leather trunk to hold luggage, a reminder of why we still call luggage compartments trunks. This 1915 Ford Couplet was one of the rarest Model Ts because not very many of them were made due to low demand. At $750, it was the second most expensive car in the Ford line, but it could only seat 2 people. The Couplet was one of the few Model Ts that were actually more attractive than practical. This 1915 white Model 30 was the company's least powerful line of automobiles. However, the lack of power was more than made up for by the sportiness of the Roadster. It featured a folding windshield and door props that allowed doors to be held open for ventilation in warm weather. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please press the like button if you did. Also, subscribe to see more videos in this series. Thank you.